All right, done with Unit 1 now and ready to move on to Unit 2 of our course, The Hispanic World. Before we do that, though, I want to work at decompressing the first unit a little bit. I heard from quite a few of you in emails about the quizzes, about the readings, a lot of questions and concerns. So I want to kind of address that now overall. First of all, when you have concerns, of course not when you're going to put your specific quiz grades in them or something, but when you have questions about, are the grades right now the way they stand for the quizzes, or how do I possibly remember what's in these readings, it's really good to post those questions on the general discussion forums, because honestly I've been answering email after email after email about the same type of questions. So you all are out there with the same kind of concerns, and it's good to have a discussion about this on course, because I think sometimes it can make you feel better when you realize you're not the only one out there feeling this way. Anyway, so let's address the quizzes first. Like I've said this in emails, I've posted in announcements and in the forum. The quizzes, when you take them, the initial grade is a computer-generated grade. The computer cannot grade your short answer essays, and those are generally worth 50% of your grade. So keep in mind that you could go up by 50 points. The first quizzes I have found tend to be harder for students because you haven't been exposed to them yet. You're getting used to how to do the reading, what to look for. So I think you'll find that it'll get a little easier as we go along. And always keep in mind, the computer will automatically, or on courses, automatically set up to keep dropping your lowest 3 quiz grades. So those will always be eliminated. So that leaves you some flexibility also. Another thing to think about when you're doing your reading and thinking about what am I supposed to be getting out of this, I realize that these chapters are chock full of details and information. It's not a very long book when you consider what it's covering. We are covering 500 plus years of historical development of a culture, not a culture, multiple cultures, multiple histories, multiple political systems, doing this all in one semester in one textbook. So it is a lot of information, and I get that. A couple of things that you can do that can help you both with the reading and with thinking about taking the quizzes. First, before you even start reading the chapters, I would suggest that you read the questions for discussion that are at the end of the chapter. They have these at the end of every one of the chapters. This can help you with ways to look at the reading materials analytically and how you can process these materials. The other thing I would do is go to the discussion forum for the unit. You can read through the questions, maybe even print out the questions so you can jot notes to yourself as you're reading. This will not only help you with the discussion forum, but it can also help you with preparing for the quizzes. So those are just a few suggestions to help you along. Hopefully, with this first unit being over, you are starting to get a feel for this area that is Latin America, or as the course title suggests, is the Hispanic world. I tend to like the term Latin America better simply because using the term the Hispanic world kind of implies in a way that they have all a shared culture. And that may be true to a certain extent in the colonial period, but we are going to see, starting with this unit number 2 and all the way through the rest of the course, that we are dealing with 20 different countries that have varied histories and varied cultures and varied foods and political systems and social systems. Yes, they have a shared background in their indigenous European and African heritages, but beyond that, they have really developed on their own. So the Hispanic world is a nice, tidy term to use, but it doesn't really fit. And coming with this chapter, we're going to see those differences. So like I said, hopefully you've gotten a feel for the land and the climate, some of the cultural background, the issues that come with the geography, and then also a feel for the colonial period. And now we're going to move into how this region became Latin America as we know it today. So we're going to start with the Independence Wars and what led to the drive for independence and how independence was won throughout this area. One of these things I would like you to think about while you are working through the chapter on independence is the fact that Latin American countries intentionally call their independence wars. They don't call them revolutions, which, if you think about it, is rather interesting, because you will find that were some areas that were really quite revolutionary. For example, giving freedom to slaves, or giving participation to vote for all men in the society. Not everybody did that, but some nations did, and that was rather revolutionary, more revolutionary than things we did in the United States. And yet the Latin American countries were reluctant to call these wars revolutions. So that's something I'd like you to be thinking about as you're reading the chapter on independence. After the chapter on independence, we are going to be getting into 19th century development. We'll be looking at some of the issues that countries went through in deciding upon political systems, in creating borders. We will look at struggles between people who wanted to have more monarchical systems or federalist systems, as opposed to people who wanted more republican, meaning a republic type of system. We'll look at struggles between conservatives and liberals. Now, when you're looking at and thinking about conservatives and liberals in the 19th century, be very careful, because it doesn't mean the same thing as it does to us in the 21st century. And in fact, some of the characteristics that we associate with the groups today were opposite back then. So just be careful as you're reading about these different political groups. We'll be looking at struggles between countries in forming their borders. And then all of this will kind of culminate in the predominant political system of the 19th century, which was the rule of the caudillos. Caudillos were political strongmen who ruled really through force of personality more than anything else. Some people like to try and liken them to dictators of our present day, but they really weren't. They had a little bit more legitimacy than dictators do, probably more popularity, because they ruled by force of personality, and a lot of people loved them for many reasons. And they gave more in general to the people. So just be careful using our present day classifications when we're looking at 19th century Latin America. So as usual, make sure you go through the homework modules. I have put a couple of short videos in the module this week. There are no supplementary readings for this unit, for unit number 2. The reason for that is because along with this unit, you need to make sure that you are thinking about your human rights research project or your research PowerPoint you're going to be putting together. After this unit is over, the unit ends on the 20th of February, and by the 21st, you have to have your project topic selected in the wiki link. So what I would like you to do for supplemental readings for Unit 2 is to spend time with the readings and the videos that are in the PowerPoint Research Project module to make sure you get that done. So as usual, you will have 2 quizzes. You'll have a discussion forum where you'll have to make a minimum of 3 posts. I will be around if you have questions or issues. If you want to chat, of course, contact me. You can have office hours with me online. If you're in Richmond, you can always pop into my office to come see me. And I look forward to moving forward with you into the national period.